Hello and karibuni sana to this episode of Women's Guild Week. I believe it has been a blessed week. Even as we come to the end of it, we have had discussions from different topics for our growth as women under the theme, You Are My Witness. And I believe women being witnesses of Christ, we ought to be healthy, or rather be mindful of our health. And this marks our topic of discussion on this episode of Women's Guild Week as we focus on the health of women. My name is Aida Munzatsi, a health and science journalist here at CAC TV, and I'll be your host for this episode. Stay tuned, let's learn together. So being the final day of Women's Guild Week, today also marks Cancer Survivors Day, which is held on the first Sunday in June to create awareness about cancer and also celebrate cancer survivors. So today we look at breast cancer and cervical cancer, which are amongst the leading cancers in women.
They found I had throat, lungs, the other breast, neck and diaphragm cancer.
But remember that time, I have no pain, I have no symptoms, my body is well, I don't feel anything at all.
They said I'm stage 4, which was a bit killing, but the Lord has taken me this far.
And having the whole uterus removed, meaning they will never bear children.
Though it is tough, it is tough.
I would be advocating for healing more than anything else.
Because there's a reason. Nothing comes behind God. He understands all our trials and tribulation.
Health starts with you first.
Breast cancer is a cancer that forms in the cells of the breast. To start with, let's listen in from Margaret Owero, an elder from Kikuyu Presbytery. She is a survivor of breast cancer as well as other cancers, including lung, throat, and diaphragm cancers.
The journey on cancer has been tough because I was first diagnosed in 1997, where I lost my right breast. And then there was recurrent in 2010. And in 2012, arrangements were done for medication in India. And on arrival there, through PET scan and other investigation, they found I had throat, lungs, the other breast, neck, and diaphragm cancer. And it was tough because this time my talking was an issue. I had also lost weight, and they said I'm stage 4, which was a bit killing, but the Lord has taken me this far. When I was first told that I have to lose the breast, of course it was tough. And by then it was back in 1997, so I was a young mother. And I didn't take it positively. So I tried to talk to God through our friends, but finally God alionyesha like ni kama ni lazima nipitie, just the way Jesus said, if I have to undergo, then be glorified. And even on the other cancers, I would say the Lord has taken care of me, and it is through prayers of unwell wishes. And I love God and I trust that He can heal. Now, when I went to India and I was told the cancer has gone round the body, that's the time I understand there is the metastasis. Metastasis, which, as we understand, it is a type of cancer that can move anywhere. Well, to me, I did not think that it can move that way. But last year, I realized, yes, it can move that way. Because when I started now developing another problem, and I had some back pains, and I went to the oncologist, and I was referred for PET scan, and the PET scan showed that the problem has gone to the bones. It has been tough because right now I'm undergoing chemotherapy. I started chemotherapy last year, August, and I'll go through August. This is when again they'll do PET scan to understand whether the medication is improving on me or not. And I hope it is. Me, I thought now that I've lost one breast, my man, who is Mr. Waweru, you'll not be comfortable seeing a one-sided breast woman. But things turned very well later. There's the cervical cancer also that affects women, that breeding, whatever. And at times they are even kicked away. It also reminds me, that woman in the Bible who touched the helmet of Jesus. I think he had cervical because alikuwa na bleed all through and people were afraid of that stinking and whatever. Once you're diagnosed with cervical, it is treatable. It is treatable. Apparently women undergo a lot of problems. And one of the problems some people undergo is breast cancer and cervical cancer. And during this week, which is the National PCA Women's Guild Week, I would urge the ladies, not only the Presbyterian, but women in general, to go for screening. At times we are afraid because we feel a lump and then we think, I will not go to the hospital, I don't want to hear I have cancer. Not every lump is cancerous. So I would urge the women, and particularly to mark this week, because at the same time as we celebrate the PCA, the Presbyterian Church of East Africa Women's Guild Week, our nation, Kenya, is also celebrating the National Cancer Day on the 6th, which is the climax also of the Women's Guild. So within the week, it's good to ensure, dear ladies, that you go for screening. Don't be afraid. Whatever comes, we believe in God. If you're free from the problem, Bwana asifiwe. If it is not, and you are infected, I think early detection is better than when you are told it is late, because we have lost a lot of people who have gone to the hospital when it is too late. And then once you are diagnosed, don't take it like it's a life sentence. Hapana. If Margaret has walked the journey 24 years down the line, then our Redeemer lives. He cares. Just take it positively, and the Lord will take you through. For those that are battling the journey, though it is tough, I will tell you it's tough because, one, psychologically it's tough. Secondly, there are people that suffer family rejection, and it also catches on the wealth. Let me give hope, dear ladies, that even if this comes, God will provide its package. God provides in His own way. If today I have worked on medication daily, every day, but the Lord has continued providing. At times it's tough. It's tough psychologically, but God provides. So don't be afraid. God is there with a package for you, because there's a reason. Nothing comes behind God. He understands all our trials and tribulation.
Mm-hmm. And as we mark Cancer Survivors Day, what's your word?
As we mark the National Cancer Survivors Day, this 6th of June 2021, and also as we mark the Women's Guild Maximum Day, on the same day, the 6th of June 2021, I will encourage people to have hope, have faith in God, and for the caregivers, do a job well done, just the way Mr. Waweru, pona yangu, amefanya kazi mzuri. People know about it. They understand. He's a good caregiver. He has the spirit to take care. Anyone who is rejected, because we have had cases of people that are rejected either by their spouses. Please, dear spouse, remember, no one applied for this problem. Take care of your spouse, take care of your family member. This is one of the ministries the Lord has kept us on earth for. And also, it is making a little heaven on earth.
Now you can all agree with me that Margaret is quite a strong woman, and as she puts it, it's by the hand of God that she is where she is today in terms of her health. However, I continue to urge us as women to always go for early breast cancer screening. Do not wait for the signs, for as it is said, early diagnosis will always save life. Now coming up next is Elder Faith Kanyinge from Ruai East Presbytery. She is a survivor of cervical cancer and generally a cancer awareness advocate. Remember, we are discussing about cancers in women just to improve our health as women, even as we mark Women's Guild Week as well as Cancer Survivors Day.
I do a lot of advocacy on cancer awareness and survivorship. Having had a personal journey with cancer, I look back at the years, is about 17 to 18 years now, when one day I woke up and I went for this test that every other ordinary woman hates to do. And that's where my journey of survivorship started. There were no symptoms, there were no signs. It was a personal routine that I had followed, because every other lady needs to know that there are some personal ethics that they need to do for them to understand their own bodies, for them to understand that they are well, the wellness. Sometimes those are personal decisions. So there were no signs, there were no symptoms, and I had done this screening called Pap Smear many other years back. But for this particular one, it was like an ordinary usual screening. You know, when you go for the Pap Smear test, it takes about a week or so, about 7 to 12 days or so to get the results out. So when you go for the results, it's what is indicated on the results that makes you go to the next step, because you need to understand the results that you've been given. So when the results were out, I followed up, because I know many ladies do not follow up the test results. They go for the test, but they don't follow up. We do not follow up to check what is the meaning of the results after we do the test, which is a very important area that most ladies do not understand. So when I went for the results, what was written on the results, I wanted to understand. So, but whoever gave me the results was not the doctor. It was a receptionist or maybe a junior nurse. So I insisted to see the doctor to explain to me what the results meant. Because there was an indication, I don't know what cells seen. So I wanted to understand what is that has been seen. And this is an area that I would encourage every other lady to be able to understand every result they are given by the doctor. So I couldn't see the doctor that day, so I had to book an appointment to come back and see him. So when I saw him next is when he told me I might need further checks because there are indications that there could be those cervical cancer cells starting to show or starting to grow or starting to indicate. And he told me it's very important that I get back. But remember that time, I have no pain. I have no symptoms. My body is well. I don't feel anything at all. Even the usual, the uncomfortability that women or ladies feel, I had none of that. You know something strange about cancer and every other diagnosis on cancer. When there is pain already, the germs have grown. And that is the truth that we all run away from. But at this particular time, I have no pain yet. Even when I'm going for the explanation of the results and I'm pushing the doctor to give me all the details I need, I have not experienced any pain yet. And this is the importance of an early stage diagnosis. Because if it is an early stage diagnosis, it is possible to cure it, it is possible to get avenues to attend to it, to address it the right way. So immediately I was told this is it. And I remember I had gone with my husband so that he will understand what all that will entail. And after further checks and further evaluation of that report, the decision was made. And I remember the doctor asking me, would you be pregnant? Because the procedures we are going to carry out might affect maybe a baby that you might be having. And I had to double check myself and find out, am I pregnant? And so it is a decision that I had to make immediately. Not like the decisions that some women or ladies, we make. We say, let me go back home and think about it and maybe get another opinion, which is good. Because even in the getting the second opinion, if you realize this is the way you are going to handle this, you do not waste any more time. So I didn't waste any more time. My husband was very supportive, very understanding. He asked the doctors every other thing that he wanted to understand. And we went ahead to book a surgery. Because what required to be done is a minor surgery along the area where the germs had started to grow on the uterus. Because those germs love the uterus lining wall. And I look back, for about a month I couldn't walk. I couldn't lift my leg, especially the right hand side leg where the surgery had been done. I couldn't, I had forgotten to walk. And I have people asking me every other time, Faith, why do you always put on high heels? Why do you love high heels? Because I remember there are times I couldn't walk at all. And thereafter there was a lot of therapy done, a lot of medication done, and a lot of acceptance that I will live with this scar the whole of my life.
Now, just a reminder that we are focusing on the health of women even as we mark the Women's Guild in the Presbyterian Church of East Africa under the theme, You Are My Witness. Now, that was Elder Faith Kanyinge from Ruai East Parish, a survivor of cervical cancer as well as a cancer awareness advocate. And we are blessed to be joined by Faith Kanyinge in studio today just to continue creating awareness about cancer as well as the importance of us as women paying close attention to the telltale signs of cervical cancer as well as breast cancer. Faith, thank you so much for joining us, and that was a very powerful story.
I bless the Lord even for the opportunity to be back. Thank you.
So how did you come to terms and even be so confident in sharing your story and advocating for cancer?
It took time. It was not easy to come out in the open and especially talk about it. But a time comes when God raises a generation that will speak out about his doings. So by the time I was coming out, I knew I would be advocating for healing more than anything else, and give hope to many women and to many young girls and to many families that there is hope after diagnosis. Yeah.
Okay, so we've just talked of diagnosis, and medics and experts in the medical field will always talk of early diagnosis of cancer will save life. So just talk to women outside there, the importance of paying close attention to the signs and even going for screening, early screening, even without seeing the signs.
One thing I keep reminding my fellow women is that the minute you are getting the signs and the telltale signs, you may be a little bit too late. And so it should be a routine for every woman to double check their health, because health starts with them first. Health starts with you first. Before the family comes in, before your loved ones come in, it is your responsibility to double check the wellness of your health. And so, like I said in my previous story, that there is one routine check brought about this early diagnosis. And that's why even with the launch of the Hpv vaccine in the year 2019, October, there was a lot of resistance about the Hpv vaccine that helps the young girls to prevent themselves. Because with the early exposure on our young girls and our young boys to sex and even premarital sex, that exposure has brought a lot of laxity in the wellness of our children too. Yeah.
Okay, so you brought in a very key aspect, that is the Hpv vaccine that is administered, I believe, to girls between the age of 10 to around 13, 14 years. Just educate our women outside there as they watch, or our audience, what is the Hpv vaccine and its importance.
One thing I would want to just highlight about what is Hpv vaccine? It's human papilloma virus. And there are 100 strains of that Hpv virus. And unfortunately or fortunately, the carriers are men. They carry it, but they don't know it. And there is no harm with them carrying it. It is one of the viruses that is harmless in men. But during the interaction with a woman, among the strains that start to mutate and change are 2 among the 100 viruses. Among the 100 strains of HPV, the 2 that mutate are 14 and 18. Those are the ones that cause the cancer, the cervical cancer cells into a woman's body. And so it is very, very hard to know when you will get it. Because if you're married, you do not know when you will get it. And that's why the Pap Smear test, the screening test, was invented to be able to protect the woman. And because of the exposure of the young girls at a very early age, the HPV vaccine was introduced. And we've got very many countries in Africa doing very well, like Rwanda, like Uganda, even Tanzania. But because of the resistance we had ourselves in Kenya, that's why even the introduction was done very, very late. And I want to say this, Ida, the girls who have gone for the vaccine, it is one way, as a woman who has a daughter or who has a family where there is a young girl, the only way you can protect them is taking them for this vaccine. It is done in 2 doses at an interval of 6 months, and it is very, very helpful and very harmless. Yeah.
And you mentioned your daughter was vaccinated?
My daughter was vaccinated, yes, and she is okay, and she's doing well. She went for the 2 doses because having gone through the journey of it, the only way I could prevent it for her, the only gift I could give her as a mother was to make sure that she's safe. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you've mentioned the HPV virus is carried with the men, yeah?
Yeah.
So what is the role of men? What role do men play in ensuring that their women go for early screening of, I'll say, cervical cancer and even breast cancer?
One thing I would challenge the men is to note that the minute they are walking that journey with their women, it becomes an easier journey. I still remember my husband when I got the results for the diagnosis, and I told him, I've been told to go for the results after 2 weeks. And that morning when I went for my results, he kept checking, are the results out? What are the doctors saying? And when they were out, I told him, they're saying there's a few things, a few cells seen. I am trying to book an appointment to see the doctor so that he can explain to me what this means. And I remember the day I got an appointment to go and see the doctor, he accompanied me. And when I went to see the doctor and I told him, I have my husband with me, when the doctor read the results, he told me, oh, okay, you can ask him to come. And he came. And even as the explanation was going on, that there are some cells that have been seen that may mutate to cervical cancer in the very near future, and there are procedures that will require to be done. There is a treatment section that will require to be done. I knew as soon as he has heard that, he will walk with me this journey. And so I challenge the men to agree to walk the journey of the screening with their women, and also to walk the journey of their daughters for the HPV vaccine. They play a very big role. If it were not for my husband, Ida, I think this journey would have been very scary at first. I shared with you how I couldn't even walk again, and how sometimes I have to don high heels just to remind myself there are months, about 6 months, I couldn't walk.
You couldn't?
Yeah.
All right. So you're bringing in the men and of course spouses and husbands. Those are caregivers, yeah? And we'll get to that part of caregivers in a bit. Let us look at now the screening or the diagnosis. There are those that will say the diagnosis is it's painful or it's uneasy. I've gone for the screening. I'll say it's a little bit uneasy, but at the end of it, you have to go for the screening.
Yeah, and many times I have that question coming in, and many ladies saying, what happens to me when I go for this screening? And I have to be intimate with my husband after it. The first thing I tell the ladies is be honest. Let your husband know that you're going out. You're going to go for this screening and the importance of it. There's nothing to hide about it, because this is about your wellness and the wellness of the family. So what is difficult? Is it going for this uncomfortable screening, or when you are diagnosed and you have to go through the journey of the pain and having to go through palliative care because you feared to go for this uncomfortable screening that women believe at the back of their minds that it is. But to tell you the truth, counting the cost and what it will cost you after that, you'd rather go for it. You'd rather go for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talking of palliative care, let us now bring in the aspect of caregivers. There are those that have survived cervical cancer or any other cancer, and there are those that are still in the journey, even as we mark Cancer Survivors Day. So what is your advice to those that are living with cancer, to those that have cancer, and to those that have survived cancer together with their caregivers?
First, it is very sad that COVID has taken the front seat and cancer is almost taking the back seat. And just when we were doing the miles of conquering it and even having the awareness spread all over in our nation, then COVID hit. And most of the deaths is only because it is unsaid. You can track them to cancer because of the immunity that comes with the diagnosis and the medication and the therapy sessions, chemotherapy and all that. And even the breast cancer awareness has almost taken a back seat. And even this cervical cancer that we are actually highlighting today, and it is a little bit sad. And I know there are many who are at home and watching this, who are in that journey. Maybe their loved ones have already been diagnosed with cancer. And this I address including the men, because the men also have their own stake in their cancer, pancreatic cancer, even breast cancer, men do have it.
Yeah.
And I look at the journey of survivorship and the journey also of caregiving, because I have lost 3 members to cancer. Very closest of them. 2 are my parents and 1 my sister. And the only thing I keep reminding each and everyone I meet, who maybe they have seen me on the screens talking about cancer, is that they need to remember that their energy is important. That person who is ailing, the person who is unwell, is depending on them for their energy. And a time will come when you will burn out, because the things you have continuously done for this loved one of yours, at one point, they will not be able to appreciate because of the pain that they are going through, because of the sessions that they have to go through that disrupts their hormonal imbalance, and sometimes they do not even understand themselves. So one thing I encourage them to do is to remember that their energy is important. That when they are pushing something, let's say it's some food to eat, and they find their loved ones is not willing to eat, there is a way they can gauge that if I leave this for a few minutes, I can protect my energy reserve and go back and persuade them maybe to take the meal that they need to take or the fruits that they need to take. But they cannot afford to give up on their loved ones. I have seen many family members give up and maybe leave one member of the family alone to handle the loved one who is already ailing. And that's why I talk a lot about advocacy on caregivers, because they need to know that at that particular time, even though they feel their energy is going down, they are needed. And the hand of God is there to give them divine energy every time they cry to God for help. Yeah.
Okay. And as we mark Cancer Survivors Day, first of all, I'll want to salute all the cancer survivors and also those soldiers that we've lost due to cancer. And you've brought in that you lost some very close relative to cancer. We also, may their souls also rest in peace. But just in that line of thought, risk factors, yeah? So genetics, I'll say, is a risk factor. If I had my mom or my dad with cancer, the chances of me having cancer are very high. So we can educate our audience on that.
Yeah, and it's good to bring that perspective, because I know many families, even many believers, fight that fact. But the fact that you had a relative who had cancer does not mean that you will literally carry it.
Exactly.
There are things that we can do to avoid the strain going forth to the other members of the family. And for myself, I literally told God, if it was in our family, then it ended with me. I paid the price. And at the cross, God, you've paid the debt. So I don't owe the devil any sickness. And so even when I have the nudge in my heart and in my mind to think about my journey of cancer and even recurrence, because there's this one fear about survivorship. There are many who come to me saying, Faith, even though we are talking about this survivorship, what if it recurs? And I tell them, if you entertain that thought, you cannot move forward. You can never see the light of the day. And so it is good to have, again, I keep saying, the routine check. Check your health. Check your diet. What are you eating? If you're eating junk food, and you have heard about your family having had someone somewhere going through this, then you need to check your health. You need to check your diet. You need to improve your weight. You need to make sure that the nitty-gritty things that help you live well and healthy are part of your routine every day. And there is no compromise about that. And that has helped me always remember. Every time when I'm craving for junk food, I remember, oh, I cannot drop my journey. I need, instead of the junk food, let me take a fruit. Instead of this too much sugar, let me take something without sugar. Let me take a banana. And that has helped me a lot. And that is what I would want to leave with our listeners today. Yeah.
Okay, so acceptance. There is the grieving part. Yeah. Once we've lost our loved ones due to cancer, and there is us accepting. First of all, the doctor has told you that you have cancer. So how do you accept, and how do you even mourn those that have died due to cancer?
Yeah. One thing, accepting the diagnosis is a step to healing yourself. Is a step to God coming on board to walk with you that journey. But denial, it shrinks your faith. It brings you down. And at that point, when you have seen your loved one go, you've watched them go through the journey of cancer, they have fought so hard, they have gone through the sessions, they have taken the medication, and then they go, it can be very devastating. It can break your heart into pieces. But I always remember the words in the book of Psalms, that God is close to those who are crushed in their spirits and those who have lost their loved ones. God gets closer to them in a way that he crosses that gap of their loved ones. The only thing that we can never ever do is get a replacement for our loved ones. No one can replace a loved one that you lost. No one. And those people who try repressing the loved ones of the people who have lost them do it at their own peril. It's always good to know that if this particular lady has lost maybe their husband to cancer, or this particular gentleman has lost their lady to cancer, or they lost their children to cancer, they are irrepressible. Even though you will be in their life at one moment, at one day, you can never repress what they lost. And that is what brings a lot of correction to many loved ones who want maybe to love back when they have lost their loved ones, or who want to be loved and they have lost their loved ones. And so I always talk about it in my advocacy on Grief Share. Before COVID, we were holding the prayer breakfasts in churches. I was going from country to country. My last stop was in Uganda, and I couldn't go my next stop in South Africa, where I had received an invitation because of COVID. And even now, gatherings have become very, very difficult. I tell people that grief is a journey, a day at a time. You can never walk this journey and wake up one day and say, now I am done. Because it is a journey. And each and every day, we need to take it at a time. and it is never easy to accept that they are gone. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Faith. And let us look at the role that each and every one of us has to play, not just women as we mark the Women's Guild, but what is the role of the society, what is the role of the government in the fight against cancer? And maybe you can also bring in the part of stigmatizing, what the society can do to stop stigmatizing cancer patients and cancer survivors.
First, I really want to challenge the church. The government has played their role, and they are continuing to play their role. But what is the church role at the moment? What is the curve on advocacy and on awareness and on enlightening even their members that stigmatizing a survivor is wrong? Or thinking that they are not fully healed as they are talking about that healing is actually totally wrong. And what is the place of survivors in the church so that they can do this advocacy at the platforms that are available in the churches? And I wish one day it will be a wake-up call, especially for our church, Presbyterian Church, to maybe come up with forums and even a platform for survivors of cancer, breast cancer, cervical cancer, pancreatic cancer, all other type of cancers. And they will be shocked at how this is a faith movement exposing what it is, the truth about the journey of healing on cancer. And I dream of that day, and I hope that day will come when I still have my energy, when I still have the time, when I can still voice what I am doing right now in my advocacy, in my other life. I would say, even when I sleep, to rest, because we don't rest in peace, we sleep in rest. I would love that they will say, when I'm asleep, that in her advocacy and awareness in the church circles about cancer, many more got to know that after all, this is a journey of victory, and not a vain journey.
Well, amen to that, and I believe the day will come soon. Our leaders in the presbytery are watching, and I believe they're going to do something about it. Probably you can just give us a final word from you.
As we start this Women's Guild Week and cross it, I would just challenge every woman, wherever they are, at home, at their workplace, at their social circles, wherever they may be, even up country, wherever they may be, even maybe outside this nation. What are you witnessing about? Are you witnessing about victory? Are you witnessing about conquering in this journey of life where there's so many challenges? Because it's not only cancer, it's cancer today, it's COVID tomorrow. Are you witnessing about overcoming? And are you giving your family hope and your loved one hope? Are you witnessing hope? That is a challenge I want to leave with every woman watching this script today, and remind them that we have a role to play, to witness for hope, to witness for Christ, to witness about his love, and to tell everyone who may be feeling crushed at this particular season that there is hope beyond the grave. And let us be the witnesses that Christ is counting at this season.
Well, thank you so much, Faith. And I believe the show is airing when we are marking Cancer Survivors Day, that is 6th of June.
Yes.
And I, Ida Munzatsi, I am celebrating you as a survivor of cancer. And I'm also celebrating Margaret Wawero, who we just shared her story, a survivor of breast cancer and other cancers. Faith, thank you so much, and may God bless you.
God bless you too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Women's Guild Week. I'm glad that together we've been enlightened not just about breast and cervical cancer, but generally about health matters and also how to keep our health as women in check. I've been your host, Ida Munzatsi. You can catch me every Monday right here on CAC TV for us to learn more on health matters. Thank you to each person who made this episode a success, and special thanks to Reverend Elizabeth Kimani, the Director, Women's Guild. Have a blessed night.